Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Lee and I'm a PhD student in clinical psychology at Miami University in the United States. I'm excited to share my talk with you virtually today. As you listen to my talk, please feel free to scan this QR code to enter any notes, questions, or feedback. Thank you. This study examines whether the COVID-19 pandemic has lasting effects on how young adults remember their adolescence, specifically how their autobiographical memories of the pandemic may differ from those from ordinary times. Autobiographical memories, or AMs, are memories of personal experiences and the associated emotions and interpretations. Two key AM properties are specificity and detail. Specificity refers to the time span of an experienced event. In our study, memories were coded into several specificity categories. Specific memories are about distinct events occurring at a particular time. Extended memories are about events lasting more than one day but within a limited period. And categoric memories are repeated experiences centered on a theme representing the lowest level of specificity. And in addition, incomplete or empty responses that could not be coded were also classified as insufficient entries or omissions. On the other hand, AM detail refers to the amount of descriptive information included in a memory. Most research on AM specificity and detail has focused on individual factors, particularly depression. Depression is associated with less specific and more categorical memories, a pattern known as overgeneral memory. Findings on detail are mixed, with some studies reporting fewer details and others suggesting excessive detail due to rumination associated with depressive symptoms. Age is another important person-level factor in AM development. Adolescence is a salient period for increased AM recall capacities, and adolescent memories play an important role in identity development in adulthood as well. Compared to person-level factors, societal-level factors on influencing AM have received less attention. However, there is increasing interest in how the COVID pandemic may have disrupted the formation of AM during its time and whether it produced long-lasting effects on memory. Our first research question brings the above-mentioned person-level and societal-level factors together by investigating whether the COVID-19 pandemic timing and depressive symptoms nowadays may interact to predict the way young adults remember about the COVID period, which occurred during their adolescence. Specifically, we hypothesized that compared with adolescent memories from a non-COVID period, memories from the COVID period will be less specific, more categoric, and more likely to be incomplete entries, particularly among individuals with higher levels of current depressive symptoms. We also predict that COVID period memories will contain less detail, especially among those with higher depressive symptoms. Our second aim focuses on emotional processes during memory recall. Although we know that traits such as depression and current mood can influence what people remember, less is known about how memory specificity and detail may influence mood after recall. Some early evidence has suggested that pandemic-related memories may produce different emotional reactions, but findings in this area remain limited. Therefore, our second research question asks whether memory properties and time period interact to influence changes in mood following recall. We hypothesize that memories with greater specificity and detail will produce stronger emotional reactions during both positive and negative recall, particularly for non-COVID memories compared with COVID memories. The sample of the present study consisted of 131 undergraduate students from an American university who were early adolescents at the onset of the pandemic, most identified as women and white. In our study, we used a modified version of the autobiographical memory test to measure recall. We modified it to include date boundaries that marked COVID and non-COVID periods. We will refer to them as conditions. Here is an example prompt from the COVID condition and an example prompt from the non-COVID condition. Each participant completed both conditions and was randomized to either recall in COVID or non-COVID condition first. Each condition contained 8 prompts differing in their cue words. For each condition, 4 cue words were negative, and the next 4 were positive. Participants were always given negative cues before positive cues within each condition. To reduce fatigue and carryover effects, participants watched a 2-minute neutral video between conditions. In addition, participants also rated their mood on a scale from 0 to 100 before the AMT and after recalling each set of positive and negative memories in each condition. And lastly, we used the DAS-21 depression subscale to measure depressive symptoms, which showed good internal consistency in our study. All entries from the AMT were coded for the 5 categories of specificity by 2 research assistants. Inter-rated reliability was good. In order to use a more time-efficient way to characterize the amount of descriptive information in each memory, we used vocabulary pruning approaches to delete stop words in each entry and used the abridged entries as the detail variable rather than using the Levy encoding scheme. The variable was significantly related to specificity. Of note, we very recently received feedback in peer review challenging this operationalization of detail, so we're considering making changes to this moving forward. We found that data in the present study was mostly normally distributed and missing data was handled with REML in all models. Being assigned to recall COVID versus non-COVID memories first made no differences in all specificity and detail variables. Now let's dive into the findings of the study. We used multi-level regression models for all analysis. I will now describe the structure of the models. Pandemic condition was specified as a level 1 variable. In this variable, the COVID condition was specified as 0 and the non-COVID condition as 1. Depression was specified as a level 2 variable that only varied between participants. And a cross-level interaction between depression and condition was also in the model. For AIM-1, all interactions were non-significant, so they were removed from the model, and models are then rerun only including main effects. We found that in the COVID condition, people reported a lower number of specific memories and a higher number of categoric memories. As expected, we found no effects for extended memories. Depression was not linked to the amount of specific or categoric memories, but was linked with a small but positive increase in insufficient entries. For AIM-1B, we found no interaction or main effects of depression and pandemic condition on memory detail. Now moving on to results for AIM-2. For model structure, pandemic condition continues to be a level 1 variable, and the number of memories in each specificity category now serves as a level 2 predictor. A cross-level interaction was also specified. The mood after recall was the dependent variable, controlling for mood before recall. Similar to AIM-1, interaction terms were non-significant in all models and were removed. There were no main effects of memory specificity or pandemic on the magnitude of mood change after negative recall. And the same null finding emerged for memory detail. For positive recall, we also found no significant interaction terms and they were removed. We found that specificity variables did not predict mood change from before to after positive recall, but having more insufficient entries was predictive of lower post-positive mood. Lastly, there was an interaction between detail and pandemic such that more detailed positive memory recall predicted higher post-recall mood in COVID, but not in non-COVID condition. We found participants recalled fewer specific and more categoric memories from the COVID time period, similar to the OGM pattern. It may be that a monotonous lifestyle in the long term may produce similar effects on memory as depression. We also found that COVID memories were not less detailed like traumatic memories may be. This may be that COVID memories were not subject to abnormal encoding and retrieval like traumatic memories. Instead, they remain vivid once retrieved, supporting the idea that COVID memories may look blended rather than blurred, meaning that specific events are harder to access, but the details of those accessible memories remain intact. We found no effect of depression on specificity and detail. This may be due to our sample size and the fact that OGM is most robust in individuals with the MDD diagnosis status. However, we did observe that participants with higher depressive symptoms were more likely to blank out on prompts and provide insufficient entries. This may still suggest a deficit in retrieval capability, which does not exactly align with the OGM pattern. Recalling memories in higher specificity or detail did not predict bigger changes in mood. This may be partially due to the fact that our study did not intentionally manipulate recall approaches, such as inducing rumination or more elaborative reminiscing, which may interact with specificity to produce other larger changes in mood. And although specificity did not predict mood change, each positive memory entry still counted towards the mood increase, and failing to describe a positive memory was related to lesser mood benefits. We found detail to predict a higher post-positive mood compared to one's baseline, only in the COVID condition. This appears counterintuitive, as several studies done during the pandemic found that COVID-related memories were less effective at eliciting positive emotions. And our results may bring forth the idea that after several years, the positive COVID memories may now be represented as memories of resilience and togetherness in times of difficulty, and this silver lining effect of COVID positive memories may elicit stronger positive affect. Several limitations of the present study should be noted. We used a word count approach as a time-efficient way to characterize the amount of descriptive information in each memory, rather than manually coding with the Levine et al. Approach. As mentioned before, we are considering how to interpret the word count approach finding as we revise this manuscript, and I would really appreciate any thoughts from the audience on this issue especially. Another limitation is that our sample was low in racial, ethnic, cultural, and socioeconomic diversity. Since experiences in the pandemic and lockdown procedures really vary across these groups, the generalizability of our findings may be limited. Our sample was also a community rather than clinical one, so our ability to detect severe OGM may be naturally limited as well. Future research may be interested in examining whether other socio-ecological risk factors, such as physical and emotional isolation, may contribute to overgeneral memory. Next, the present study is also one of the first to embed momentary affect assessments in the AMT, and future research may want to use more nuanced measures to better understand the relationship between emotional experiences during recall and memory properties. And finally, now that it has been 6 years since the onset of the pandemic, qualitative research may help to explore the integration of pandemic memories into the individual's life stories and how these narratives may vary across different ages and sociocultural backgrounds. And that's all. Thank you so much, and I would greatly appreciate hearing your feedback through the survey linked to the QR code, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.